The skin on the breast, the thing that holds it all together. Dermatologists say that they often see this in people with larger breasts, diabetes, or those who live in hot climates. So basically, check on your friends in places like Houston. Check on your big titty friends in Houston, home of the humidity earlier. So let's talk about what that actually is. And it's important for you to know because it can easily be mistaken for eczema or dermatitis, but it's not, and it can actually be linked to breast cancer. Hello, I experienced that. It was horrific. This is what you don't want to experience. It's just a lot that goes into it. So, shout out to those tiger stripes.
Let's talk about breasts.
Let's talk about you and me
Let's talk about all the good things.
and all the bad things. Welcome to episode 75 of BooTube Podcast. I'm your breast friend, Jaleesa, and we're here to talk some more about the health of our breasts, but most times people will just think, oh, breast cancer. But there are a lot of things that have to be considered when we consider our overall breast health. So before we get into it, let's take BooTube on the move.
Have you ever experienced any skin irritation, such as a rash or fungus on or around your chest or breast?
No, just some taco meat.
Okay, understand that.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced any skin irritation, such as a rash or fungus on or around your breast?
No,
Your man breast.
no, I don't have man breasts.
You don't have breasts.
I have a
Well,
chest.
you have a chest. But here we go. Here we go. Okay.
So, as you see, the focus for this episode is going to be about the skin on the breast, the thing that holds it all together. So, I want to talk about a lot of different concerns that we can have about our skin. And we've talked about different things like essential oils and things that you can use for your breast. But this is specifically regarding other things that can affect the skin on your breast, what it looks like, what it is, what causes it, so on and so forth. So let's dive right on in. So let's start off with the fact that the breast on the skin, the skin on the breast is unique because it is thinner and is more delicate and is often covered by clothing that traps sweat and friction. That's where a lot of the skin issues can come into play. And we're going to dig into that a little deeper. So, the skin on the breast, they do contain more or many sweat and sebaceous glands, so it's prone to things like rashes and acne. And a lot of you might have experienced that at some point in your lives or another, or might not. And then, of course, we know that they are subject to stretch marks because that's a thing. Many of us have experienced that, whether it be on our breasts or other parts of our body, but we know that they are common for the breast, the skin on the breast. And we also know that hormonal changes can affect all these things as well. So that can play a role in your skin too, in changes that you see in your skin. So some of the common breast skin issues are you have irritation and chafing, intertrigo, eczema and psoriasis, acne or folliculitis, stretch marks again, you can have hyperpigmentation. So, just to talk about those things in more detail, you have irritation and chafing, that's especially under the breast due to sweat and friction, which you just mentioned. Intertrigo, that is a yeast or bacterial overgrowth in skin folds. So, as you know, there's a lot of skin folding going on around your breast, and that's where that can come into play. You have eczema and psoriasis that can flare in this area if you have eczema or psoriasis, acne or folliculitis, and that comes from trapped sweat and clogged pores. As we talked about, this is the area that can sweat pretty well, pretty easily. The stretch marks from rapid breast growth or shrinkage, pregnancy, not pregnant, hormones, growth, the stretch marks can just come. Hyperpigmentation, that's under the breast folds from the friction. So you might see that it's a little darker under your breast or red, things like that, that's going to come from that. So these are all normal things that take place, of course. But yeah, there are some things that some good daily habits that you can have when it comes to your breast, such as having good hygiene, so gentle cleansing, meaning keeping the folds dry under your breast, between your breasts, moisturizing your breast, of course, because that is skin as well. It can get dry and it can shave, it can do all of those things. So don't forget to moisturize your breast. Rub a little lotion on there. There's antifungal powders or barrier creams. That's stuff that people use that are a little more prone to rashes. And a good supportive bra, of course, that always plays a great role. That can reduce the chafing and the skin breakdown for sure. And even help with boob sweat, of course, if you have on the wrong size bra and your breasts are hanging down further on your torso, then it's going to be hotter and cause more sweat and friction and possibly some hyperpigmentation if it's there for long periods of time. So definitely want to make sure that you're wearing a supportive bra as well. And don't forget about the breast when it comes to sun protection and use some SPF on there sometimes. Everyone's skin is different. Some need a little more SPF than others. Also depends on what your day-to-day life is like. So make sure that if there is exposure, especially if you're going to the beach or the pool or something like that, that you are applying the sun protection, the sunscreen, sunblock to your chest that's exposed for sure. Now, sometimes the things that you see on your breast, because our skin tells us when things on the inside are going awry. By the time it makes it to the skin, that lets you know that something's going on underneath. And sometimes when it happens with our breasts, it can be something more serious that you might need to seek help about. So some of those things, if you have persistent rashes that are not improving with normal care, you might want to go see someone about that. If you have a lot of redness or swelling, um, or a dimpling like orange texture, like the texture of your breast is changing, that can be a signal for inflammatory breast cancer. So you definitely want to go get that checked out. You can have nipple eczema, or it's called Paget's. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. Paget's disease of the breast, which is where dermatologists look for those differences, so you can have some irritation around your nipple going on with that. Definitely go see a dermatologist for that. Sometimes people have sores and ulcers and bleeding skin lesions. For sure, if you see that there's bleeding going on around your breast, you should go talk to someone. And that could be cancerous for sure. So if you have things like that, you want to make sure that you're not just sitting around on it thinking that maybe it'll get better or will not get better. I don't know. But make sure that you are paying attention to your breast, the skin on your breast, and that if there is something, go see someone about it. So let's talk a little more about the skin issues. I wanted to do a deep dive there because I think that's something that goes overlooked. Because I think when it comes to breast and skin, we mainly think about stretch marks, or people talk about braille being around the nipples on the areolas or something. Sometimes we talk about a little hair, but I don't think that the focus is about these skin issues that we can all experience very easily. So, again, we talked about intertrigo, which is a skin fold rash. It can be caused by friction, heat, and moisture in the underbreast fold. It feels red, raw, itchy, and sometimes painful, and it can develop into a yeast or bacterial infection if it goes untreated. So, one way to prevent it is to keep the area dry. So maybe cotton bras or moisture wicking fabrics, and you can also use antifungal powders. Um, this is definitely not something that would be fun to deal with for sure, especially if you live in a climate where it's hot, like Houston, home of the humidities. You don't want to have that going on. So make sure that if you do experience this, or if you have experienced anything like this, for sure, you should go see a dermatologist. I mean, there are some probably like home remedies that you can use, but I don't think it would hurt to see a dermatologist who can help you to stop suffering sooner, I'm sure. Granted, they're good dermatologists. Sometimes the doctors, they don't really care about us, but you got to find a good doctor. Sure, there are some great dermatologists out there that help you with your intertrigo. Another one, of course, we're talking about the fungal and bacterial infections. So again, yeast infections, they thrive in warm and moist areas. So look for bright red patches with satellite spots. There are other bacterial infections which can cause painful bumps or abscesses, so you don't want to have that. And dermatologists say that they often see this in people with larger breasts, diabetes, or those who live in hot climates. So basically, check on your friends in places like Houston. Check on your big titty friends in Houston, home of the humidities, because it goes past just having humidities. It goes into possibly having fungal and bacterial infections. It goes into possibly having to see a dermatologist. It goes into possibly having hyperpigmentation under your breast. It's just a lot that goes into it. So definitely check on them. Make sure that they are keeping the under boobs dry so that they can avoid these skin irritations because none of it sounds fun now, does it? And I've personally experienced the fungal infection before, and I'm telling you, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. And just do whatever it takes to keep it dry because the more that it's moist, the more that it's going to thrive and not go away. So just keep it dry. Um, Breast acne and folliculitis. So similar to facial acne, it can be caused by clogged pores, sweat, and friction from your bras. Folliculitis is an infection of hair follicles, which looks like small pimples. Things that trigger it, if you have tight sports bras, heavy sweating, or oily lotions, those are things that can trigger your folliculitis and where you can see those bumps. You can use gentle cleansers or breathable fabrics, and sometimes topical antibiotics can help to manage breast acne. And of course, with acne or anything at all, diet plays a role. Make like, what are you drinking? Are you drinking water pretty regularly? What are you eating? Those things always play a role. And then there's hormones, of course. So we gotta love hormones. They affect everything. And we get to deal with all of them. It's just such a joy, especially when you're up in age as a woman. It's beautiful. Another thing that we have, of course, the eczema and psoriasis. So, um, that's red, itchy patches that can be triggered by sweat, soaps, or fabrics. Psoriasis can be thick, scaly patches, sometimes appearing under the breast. And nipple and areola eczema should be carefully checked out to rule out other conditions like Paget's disease. We mentioned Paget's disease a couple of times on this episode earlier, so let's talk about what that actually is. And it's important for you to know because it can easily be mistaken for eczema or dermatitis, but it's not, and it can actually be linked to breast cancer. So, it's a rare type of breast cancer that starts in the ducts of the nipple and spreads out to the skin of the nipple and areola. And it accounts for about 1 to 4% of all breast cancers. So, some signs of it are persistent redness or scaling or crusting of the nipple slash areola area. You can have itching, tingling, or burning sensations, flattened or inverted nipple over time, sometimes a bloody or yellow discharge, and usually affects just one breast where eczema often will affect both. So that's one way that you can tell the difference between the two. Um, in 80 to 90% of cases, Paget's disease is associated with an underlying breast cancer. So for sure, if you see something like that, make sure that you go talk to someone because it could be something that is a little more serious. Another way that you can tell that it's something more serious is if you see that you're using different ointments and creams and it's still not going away. So that's another thing to look for that you can talk to your doctor about if necessary. And hopefully you do, if that is the case. As far as stretch marks go, dermatologists will explain that creams may improve the appearance of stretch marks, but don't fully prevent them. And genetics and skin elasticity is what plays a big role here. And, there are different things that help with skin elasticity. You got collagen. Of course, water. Water is always going to help you out with anything. So, different things that could play a role, but sometimes, stretch marks are just inevitable, and we're here to love the skin that we're in, regardless of stretch marks or not. So, shout out to those tiger stripes. If you have chafing or friction blisters, that can be caused by bras, workouts, or skin-to-skin contact, and it can lead to hyperpigmentation, which is going to be the darkening of the skin under the breast crease. And you can prevent this, of course, by having supportive bras, barrier creams, and anti-chafing balms. So again, as you see, it's very important to keep this area dry. And of course, it's so easy for it to stay moist. So just letting you know, I mean, of course, anything that's in excess is not going to be good for you. So make sure that you can keep your breast as dry as possible. And also, when I talked about using the SPF if necessary, this can also cause some sunburn, some skin wrinkling prematurely. You can have some pigmentation spots, and of course, it can be a risk of skin cancer if you're not keeping that skin protected when you have exposure to the sun or direct exposure to the sun. A few other things that you can consider with the skin is that there's dryness and sensitivity that can take place. So the breast skin, again, is thinner, so harsh soaps and fragrances can irritate it easily. You can get a skin tag. Skin tags, they may form along the bra line due to friction. So that's going to be like a piece of skin that's hanging out. Benign growths, so that could be cysts, dermatofibromas, seborrheic keratosis can appear and may alarm patients. And I hope I said keratosis correctly because I just hope I said it correctly for you guys. But these are all things that can grow on a breast and be benign. But again, anything out of the ordinary for you and your breast, please go see a dermatologist. So, one of the things that led me to having this episode is my own personal experience, which I mentioned I had some with the fungus, but a contact dermatitis. So, contact dermatitis on the breast is very common and it's under discussed, and dermatologists would definitely bring this up when it comes to your breast health, well, the skin on your breast. Okay, so dermatitis, derm meaning skin, itis is inflammation. So contact dermatitis is skin inflammation that is caused by direct contact with an irritating substance or an allergic reaction to something that makes contact with your skin. So on the breast, it usually shows up as redness, itching, burning, or rashy patches. And in severe cases, it can include blistering or oozing. This is what you don't want to experience. So a big one is bras and clothing. So fabrics and dyes, which is why I asked in Boob Tube on the Move if there had ever been anything like a fabric or something that cause some sort of allergic reaction. So, synthetic fabrics such as polyester, nylon, or dark dyes can irritate sensitive skin. Um, and there could be other things. People can have sensitivity and allergy to various things. Um, Detergents and fabric softeners, sometimes the residue left on bras or tops can cause some irritation. Metal clasp and wires, a nickel allergy from bra fasteners is very common. Hello, I experienced that. It was horrific. Elastic and latex, it can be present in straps, bands, or nursing bra clips. So I did, when I did experience a skin irritation and I went to see a dermatologist, like I'm recommending for you all to do. And with that, there was the finding that I had an allergy to nickel. And during that time, definitely it needed to stay, that area needed to stay dry. And it was like in the back of the bra. And it pretty much went around just the whole shape of the bra is where the irritation was on my body. So the straps, the sides, the back, I think it started to kind of go up my underarms a little bit. It was just pretty bad. And I'm glad that I went to see a dermatologist to address it because I didn't know what was causing it. And um, at the time, there was only one new bra that I had that was a different brand from what I would normally wear. And yeah, I just threw the bra out because it had to have been that bra that started to cause it. And it was a darker color. So this goes back to us talking about um, dark dyes and how they can irritate the skin. So that could have been a factor as well, but for sure the nickel and like one of the biggest parts of the irritation is around where the bra connects in the back. So not a pleasant experience, but something you can overcome for sure. So the moment that you start experiencing it, please just go see someone and get it taken care of. Um, Sometimes your skincare and personal products can cause these as well. So your lotions and oils and perfumes, if they're applied to the chest, those things can cause some dermatitis. Certain sunscreens can trigger allergic reactions, deodorants and antiperspirants for sure. Um, because your pits are, they're right there with your breast. So it doesn't take much for things to go from one area to the next right there. Which, as I just talked about my own experience, some of it was kind of like in the underarm area and on the sides of the breast right there. It was just unpleasant. But you want to make sure too that your deodorants aren't causing any issues there with your breast because and a lot of people are trying different natural deodorants. I'm one of them. I've tried different natural deodorants. And sometimes that can, especially if you've been wearing antiperspirants for a long time and now you're wearing a natural deodorant. So now all that sweat is coming out that wasn't coming out with the antiperspirant. And you end up getting these underarm rashes and things like that. And it's just so easy for anything in that area to then affect the size of the breast and who knows how far it can go. So you want to be careful with that too. Medical and adhesive products. So a lot of people get bra tape or they get the little pasties or the nipple covers, things of that nature. Those things are adhesives and sometimes that can cause irritations. So while breast tape and fashion tape, they are increasingly popular, but some of them can cause severe rashes. And that's why a lot of time, or even when we had previous guests for breast tape, they talked about, if you have an important event coming up, you need to give this like a trial period first. So don't just buy the breast tape and know that you're going to wear it on your wedding day, but you don't know how your breasts even respond to the breast tape because you haven't tried it on. So that's not something that you want to do. Do that in advance so that you can make sure that your body is okay with it because everyone's skin is different. What doesn't break out your friend doesn't mean that it won't break you out. So just make sure that you're keeping that in mind. As far as medical adhesives, that can include different bandages, surgical dressings, or post-op bras for surgeries. You want to make sure that those aren't irritating your skin either. Um, and of course, again, heat and sweat. That's one of the environmental triggers that can cause all of these things. So, sweat itself, of course, is irritating. And when it's mixed with products and detergents, it worsens the rashes. So, you don't, again, you want to keep this area as dry as possible. And a laundry buildup. So, not rinsing the bras thoroughly can leave chemical residue. So you do want to make sure that I always recommend with any bras, you can just rinse the day off of them very easily when you're in the shower. That's why it's important to have a rotation so you're not wearing the same bra every day. So you're giving it a break. Make sure that you are washing your bras too. So maybe between hard washes at the end of the week or however often that you're doing it, you want to put it like you could just rinse it in the shower to get off that sweat, especially if you're in an area like I am in Houston. It all you have to do is step outside for 2 seconds and you'll feel it. So just make sure that you are keeping them clean because if they are dirty, that residue is just going to irritate your skin, and it's important that you don't do that. Now it could still be a good bra, but it's too dirty and you can't wear it anymore because it's irritating your skin. So it feels horrible to wear it every time you put it on. So just think about that annoying, itchy sweater or something and wearing it all the time, knowing that it's going to make you like itch all over all day long. So don't do that. So things that dermatologists recommend, they do say that allergic reactions can often localize right where the skin contacts the trigger. So that would be around the nipple if you're wearing pasties, or right up under the breast if it's the breast band from the elastic. You can have you can remove those triggers by switching fabrics or products or detergents, as we mentioned, using bland emollients like a plain petroleum jelly, aka Vaseline, and that works wonders on skin irritations, trust me. And especially if it's an area where you are sweating or trying to keep from sweating or trying to keep your skin from being irritated when you know that you're about to sweat. So let's say you're dealing with one of these skin irritations and you have to go outside in Houston or like to the gym. If you know there's something that's going to require some sort of physical activity that will cause you to sweat, then basing yourself with Vaseline can definitely help. It can help with chafing, it can help with skin irritation, the itching and everything. So just try that out. And dermatologists also recommend topical corticosteroids for short periods to help with different skin irritations. So you can get that from a dermatologist if you go. And just like how I said that I found that I was allergic to nickel, that was by doing a skin patch test. And there are different allergens that they test to see if you are allergic to. So that can include fragrances and different fabrics and products that can cause you skin irritations. So going to a dermatologist to getting a patch test will definitely help you to figure out what is causing the issue and get you on a path of how you can clear it up and prevent it in the future. That was a lot of information about the skin that we're in or that they are in. So, um, ultimately, of course, one of the key things is to keep them from being extremely moist and hot. So make sure that you're allowing your breasts some breathing space so that they can, be so that the skin can be at its healthiest around your breast. Because again, the skin definitely lets us know when something is going on. So make sure that you are paying attention to your bodies, listening to your bodies, and it can be a thing. Sometimes people see things and they get scared and it scares them away from going to the doctor. But I want to encourage you all to go to the doctor if you do see that something is different in your breast, in the skin on your breast in particular. But honestly, overall in your entire body, if something is wrong, go seek help. But in this case, we're specifically talking about the skin on the breast. So please go seek help if you see any sort of changes with the skin on your breast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know if you have any thoughts. Share your own personal experiences. We've had people share some experiences that they've had in the past, and that's definitely very beneficial. It can help someone else. You never know if someone else is experiencing the same thing or not. So please let me know if there's something that you would like to share. And be sure to tune in for our next episode. We're entering the fall season now. So we're going to shake it up a little bit and, talk about some other things regarding breasts. I never let you down. It's always going to be something about the breast that is something that you might not have thought about because you might not have thought about how important the skin on your breast is until now. And you might not have thought about a lot of other things that were discussed here on the Boob Tube. So be sure to tune in next time and let me know your thoughts about this episode. Until next time, adios.